8:50. I'll tell you the reason for that, right? I walk into the studio. I'm having a little chat with our guest that is going to join us today, and we got really talking about some very interesting facts, all related to our community partnerships week this week, right? And that's what we are doing this week, community partnerships. So all of you who are listening right now, put your right hand up and let me know. And I want you now to be full of positive energy, right? Wake up, dress up, show up on time. That is a mantra here at the radio, and all of you got to do that, right? So if you're driving to work, Assalamu alaikum to you. Drive carefully, be very, very vigilant, and don't be speeding. That's my message to you, right? And don't even look at your mobile phone. Don't touch your mobile phone, right? Don't even pretend that nobody's looking, because there is a camera watching you right this minute, right? Yesterday, I was watching a video about mobile phones, and when you're driving, what you can, what you can't do. You can't even touch it to enter your Google coordinates in there. Did you know that? You can't do that. You have to do that beforehand, not after you are driving. So what you got to do, whoever's with you, let them do all the mobile phone touching, and you keep your eyes on the road. Otherwise, another tax is on the way. It's called the mobile phone tax. If you touch it, you look at it, you're going to get a fine. And that is how it's going to be. Right now, touch, fine. In the future, it'll be look and fine. That's how it's going to be. So, as you know, we've been going through the A to Z of taxes. We've been going through the A to Z of all the diversities in your city, right? And of course, I'm going to ask this question to our guest as well, and get him involved with this A to Z, and give him some challenging questions today. And you know that when you're listening to me right now, you like it very much when I challenge, when I ask difficult questions, when I ask the questions that they don't know the answer to, right? So I'll be doing that. He's not from our city, but he's from another city. But all the dynamics are same in every city you go to. Now, all of you listening right now, have you made yourself aware of who your counselor is where you're living? Have you made yourself aware of how many counselors there are in your city? Have you made yourself aware of their diversity? Have you made yourself aware of who your MP is? Because if you don't know all of that, then you haven't done your subwork, what we call subwork, right? Your homework. You haven't done that. So all of you, as we are working hard to teach our children, we need to teach ourselves as well, and we got to step up that knowledge is power. The KIP, we got to step up on that. Knowledge is power, right? So that is very, very important. We need to do that. And of course, our producer is in the wrong city. He's supposed to be in Oldham, not in Manchester. So I've got to put him right there. But surprisingly, you'd see Manchester, the city of Manchester is about 553,242 people. Approximately, that is. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research, and that was from 2019. But Leicester, which I always thought was 400,000, and our producer is telling me, no, it's not 400,000. So he's going to put a Google figure up there on the screen and let us know what the Leicester stats are. So this is it, you see. Awareness is very important. Each year, the stats are changing because there are people coming and there are people going. And we need to... Nobody has a clue. Exact number, you can't define that, but as long as you have an approximate number, Leicester is 556,930. Now that's what I'm struggling to believe, that how can Leicester be more than Manchester? Manchester is a bigger place, and they have two football teams there, City and United, and Leicester has got more population here. How is that possible? Now, put that up on the screen again. Let me read that and understand it, and update my microprocessor. And when you look at it, 2021 is 556 population of Leicester. So it's grown. It has had more people here in Leicester, 4,752 more than there were in 2020. Now, with the pandemic, lots of things have happened. We're going to have a full program on the pandemic, and with all these wars going on all over the world, right? What has been the impact of all of that? And I'm responding to some of the messages that I've been receiving about these topics. Pandemic, war, what have they done? Of course, I'll tell you what they've done. One of the listeners, I'm reading it as he says, I tell you what they have done. That's what he's writing. And then what he's saying is that all the prices have gone up and all the corporate traders are becoming richer and richer and richer. That's what he's writing here. He's not very happy, this listener. And well, he's writing. So please give me a call. It'll be wonderful to speak to you and get your views on everything that happened in the pandemic and the current war we have in Ukraine. And not to forget the war in Yemen and Iraq and Afghanistan and Palestine and Syria and wars across the globe. And how does that impact us here in our city? What is the meaning of all of that? Well, if there is any problem anywhere else, the corporate, they come and they put the prices up on your fuel, on everything. Even the vegetable oil that you buy in your supermarket, right? The price has shot up. It is heading to unprecedented levels that you have never experienced before. And in fact, I'm going to ask my guest that when he comes later on, if he knows the price of vegetable oil yesterday and the vegetable oil today. This is how we check their general knowledge. It's a little bit of an exam when you come on a program with Zed. It is like an exam at school or college or at university. So lots of stats available. We have one of the best universities in England at Leicester City University. Leicester, it serves the whole of the county. And in fact, here's a bit of homework for all you listeners. Who were the founders of that university? Give me a message, the right answer, and then what we're going to do is we're going to give them a voucher. Or I've got a wonderful gift for you. I've got 2 tickets for you to watch a match at Leicestershire County Cricket Club. You'll be watching Sussex v Leicester, right? That's what you're going to be doing. So if you get the right answer, I'm going to give you 2 tickets for that. How's that? Is that a good deal? Now, those tickets, if you bought them, going to cost you a little bit of money. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to introduce our guest to all of you right now. Assalamu alaikum, my brother.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wonderful for you to join us here in the city of champions called Leicester Sharif. Are you familiar with this city?
Yeah, just somewhat, yes.
So our good brother today who has joined us today is Mudasser Hussain. He is from a wonderful city of, I'm not going to say how many people live there, but it's Oldham. Put your hand up if you have a relative in Oldham. Put your hand up if you have a friend in Oldham. Put your hand up if you know anybody in Oldham, right? No? Nobody's put their hand up. Oldham starts with an O. It's a big O. No? No response on that. Tickets, 2 tickets are waiting here for you if you give me the right answers. So, Brother Mudasser, how are you this morning? How's your Ramadan going?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, it's going really, really well. This year I've not really felt it actually. It's going so quickly. So it's a little bit sad, especially how quickly and reaping the benefits that you can and maximizing being as productive as you can. But yeah, it's not really. I've not found it difficult this year at all compared to previous years.
So have you lived in Oldham all your life?
Yeah, I've born and bred in Oldham and went to university in Manchester, which is not too far. So I stayed at home whilst I was studying at university as well.
Yeah, do you know a place called Chatterton Road, number 57 on Oldham Road? It's a blue double glazed door.
I don't, but I actually live around the corner nearby. Actually, I moved into Chatterton very recently.
Yeah.
So I kind of starting to know the area a bit more.
So now that you know that I have some demographic knowledge about Oldham. Yes?
Okay.
I even know how many mosques there is in Oldham. Did you know that?
No.
That's a bit of homework for you, Brother Mudasser. So, Brother Mudasser, you're going to explain to all our listeners now. I can already see some of them scratching their heads to say, who is Brother Mudasser? What does Brother Mudasser do? What do you do?
So I'm a dentist and a business and executive coach. I've been involved in the dental sector for over 15 years. So I predominantly obviously practice dentistry, but I also provide coaching and business coaching in particular. And that's my area of expertise that I've done ILM 7 accreditation in, which is one of the highest accreditations you can do in coaching. And I think I love the variation that both give me in terms of, and there are actually quite a lot of similarities, even though on the surface they look like two different things.
That is great. Now, I want to ask you a question. I've always wondered that in our parents, when we are growing up, they always want us to be a DLA. Are you familiar with the DLA?
Doctor, lawyer, accountant.
Exactly. You are on cue. Right? And that is absolutely correct. Now, they want us to be that we want to be a doctor, lawyer, accountant, and a doctor, they mean also optician or pharmacist or dentist. And you know that this profession has literally been taken over by the Asian community, the South Asian community. Would you say that is correct?
Yes, to some extent. I think all Asian families, encourage their children to do this. And when I look back as well, I was in exactly this similar kind of situation. My mum used to say to me, "I want you to either become a doctor or a dentist," kind of thing. And it was for me weighing up the differences. But I've looked back on this, and people ask me this question all the time. Maybe we should encourage our children in different directions. Perhaps we should follow the community's way that they do things. But when I look back and look at my thing, I feel like these, especially doctor, dentist, these kind of professions, very difficult to get into. But the big thing is they give you that stability. There's that essence of a guaranteed job, because everyone needs a doctor or a dentist. And, alhamdulillah, it's quite well paid. But the thing that people forget is life is very, very long. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you might start off being a doctor or a dentist, but you then might end up diversifying, and you might end up, and that's what I encourage everyone to do, and especially kids, because the thing is, at the age of 18, you're probably not seeing a lot in the world, and there's nothing wrong with going down a particular pathway. But what I do encourage is be the best in your field, or excel as much as you can, and then serve and give back to your community. Because I think that's the important thing, because I think that's where the reward aspect comes for me as well. And that's why I'm on this program today as well. Being a Muslim, I especially learning the skills I've learned as a dentist as well as a coach, I feel like there's a lot that I can give back to my community. And that's what I want to do. I want people to become more aware of perhaps what I do, and perhaps inspire them, motivate them. There may be some young teenagers, listeners out there who are listening right now, wondering what to do with their life, where they want to do, where they want to go. There may be people who are in a particular job wondering, the thing is, we all stay in our comfort zone. And I think that's when growth doesn't happen. And that's when things, get difficult, because we feel like we're not moving forwards. And I think for me, that's what coaching does. It inspires and motivates and moves you forwards continuously. And that's the key, I think, for growth.
That is a very good point, and that is a message for all of you who are listening in right now, what Brother Mudasser is conveying to all of us, that wherever we live, we have to be inspired. And of course, Brother Mudasser, I'm already feeling inspired by you with your views and everything. Do you mind if I ask you how old you are? We don't never ask this question, but I'm very keen.
I'm actually 34.
Yeah, very good. So like Brother Mudasser here is perfectly well placed to be reaching out to all of you youngsters who are even at school right now, or going to go to university, you're doing your A-levels, and guide you, inspire you to choose your career path if it's going to be in the medical field. And Brother Mudasser, have you been able to be in that position where you're advising people?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Especially being a coach, it's really sort of made me see empathy and see other people's points of views. And I've come across diverse groups of people. I've had parents contacting me and asking me to perhaps help their coach their child or children with interviews, for example, to get into dental school or medical school. I've had actually a friend contact me regarding, people who are struggling with their courses, maybe at university, and need some help. I mean, we all know mental health is a big problem, especially, post-pandemic. And to me, that the pandemic is what's inspired me to go on this journey in terms of wanting to help people and being able to motivate people and trying to sort of uplift people. And I think the thing is, especially being young and having my vast experience, that I feel like I can add value to people and help them improve their decisions. And I think that's the key when you're young and there's nobody really sort of telling you. Sometimes parents, maybe from a different generation, like, especially for example, my parents, I'm one of the youngest in my family, so there was a significant age gap, as well as perhaps, they didn't actually, go to school here as well. So it kind of, there's a sort of mismatch in terms of culture and the way people think and things. So I think that also, I feel like I've had a good range of experience. The thing nowadays with the youngsters is they want to run before they can walk. And I think the important thing is to always really sort of, it's hard to see because, I even look back at myself. I was sat with a 17-year-old teenager a couple of months ago, and he was asking me questions like, oh, what car are you getting next, and things like that. And I look back and think, I remember when I was his age and I was so excited about what, I can't wait till I'm older and I buy this really nice car, or can't wait. Whereas now, mashallah, I've got a family of 3, and, life's all about family now. I couldn't really care less about what car I drove, but that perception of when you're that age, these are the things that you're thinking about. You're not really thinking of, and at every age you're sort of looking at your life in a different way. And I think it's difficult to see that, yourself. It's, when somebody else from outside says, look, this is just a very small period of your life, but people just think this is it, and they can't really have a full 360 assessment of really where they want to head. And I think that's where you can, add value and be a bit more intelligent and explain to people that, even if you're in a difficulty at the moment, it doesn't mean that difficulty is going to last forever. This is just a temporary kind of period in your life, but it's hard for you to be able to get that message across to them in a way that they can understand.
Well, this goes right across the board, what you're saying, what you're reflecting upon. And I think many youngsters listening right now, that they have this predicament all the time, that they see another in a car, in a flash car, and they want that car, and it's the big M, isn't it? The big M. The big M is the materialism that kicks in. And it's inert in all of us. We all want this, we want that. But in your journey of life, you're on that train station, and you're going to do 50 stations in your journey of life. Each station is a story. You're going to go through all different predicaments, all different happenings. You're going to have ups and downs, and everything comes in its own good time, doesn't it?
Exactly. You have to put your trust on, and I always have this saying that you have to face it to make it, not fake it to make it. You have to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan for you, and believe. So that doesn't mean sit at home and wait for things.
Well, I better write that one down, that's a good one, that face it to make it.
Faith it to make it.
Faith it.
Yeah, faith it, as in have faith in Allah subhanahu
wa
ta'ala.
Wow, that's very good. I'm learning now. You see, when I'm here now on the radio, I work. This is my workplace, I learn things every day and I write them down. You have to faith it to make it, yeah?
Yeah, but the world makes us believe, and especially with, you alluded to this at the start of the show, the world makes us believe that we have to fake it to make it, and we have to be on social media and posting all this fake pictures and, fake things, and we have to sort of almost make our life look a lot different than it actually is. But I really, really believe that, and even recently, I was sort of, I like to explore emotions and things like that. And I think, especially with depression and low mood being a big problem at the moment for a lot of people, I was reading a book and it was explaining about what's the equation for happiness, because obviously it's something that we all sort of seek from the world, and we want to be happy, but the world makes us believe that external things like materialistic things like having a nice car, having these are what's going to make us happy, having a lot of money. But in reality, when you look at what happiness is happiness is from the inside. It happens from the heart, and we're actually born happy. That's our natural state. So we need to explore happiness, not from external things, from inside, internal. And there was a book I was reading very recently by a man called Mo Godat. He was an ex-Google officer, and he basically came up with an equation for happiness. And his equation for happiness is having a positive perception of life, and lowering your expectations from life. And if you do those two things, you will be happy. Whereas if we have a high expectation from life, we're going to be miserable. And that's the key. We have to believe that.
Okay, we're going to go
life
slow
is
on that. We're going to say that real slow and say it again. So, positive perception of life.
minus minus lowering your expectations.
Lowering your expectations. Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
That is so true. So, all of you listening in right now, do what I'm doing. Write these things down, otherwise, you forget them. If it's written down with your own pen and paper, you will remember it. Even typing it is not going to be the same. You got to write it down. It goes right through your pen, through your hand, through your arm, and it reaches your brain and it registers there in your processor, whether your processor is a KB or it's a MB or it's even a GB. Mudassar, is that a good advice to people?
Oh, definitely. I think it's very, very important. Again, this so I'll just quick mention about this equation. So it's basically having that faith that life is happening for you all the time. Because the thing is, we do the opposite. When things happen, we always like, why is this happening to me? What's going on? Always we get, we always focus on a negative, and that's what causes us to be unhappy. So what I'm saying is, even when times are tough, we all know that this is part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan. And even during suffering, and even in times of grief, there's always something positive that comes out of that process. When you get that life experience, you look back on that period that you found unhappy and realize that was actually a learning experience. And that's why I'm talking about having a positive perception of life, and saying life is always happening for you. And the second thing is not expecting so much from life, because life was meant to be difficult. Life was meant to be a test for you, and it wasn't meant to be easy. But the whole test is, how are you going to react to it? How resilient are you? How much are you going to stay true to your faith? How much are you going to stay on the straight path? How much are you, that's the test that we all have to sort of understand, that this is what life's about. And I'll just go back to, you mentioned about writing things down. Again, this is part of what I feel is very, very important in terms of having a productive day. And it depends on individual personalities, but I'm also a strong believer in making to-do lists. And I feel like that's how you become productive, by making to-do lists. So on everyone's phone, there's an app called To-Do, and I use that quite a lot. And it depends on various people, but you can either do it at the end of the day, just before you go into bed, and make a list of things you want to be able to achieve for the next day, or you can do it in the morning when you wake up. I do have a strong belief in the morning, because I do encourage a good morning routine. And people who are in personal growth circles will understand what I mean by that. But part of my morning routine is to do a to-do list for the day, and by doing to-do lists and being more productive every single day, you're getting close to that goal that you wanted to achieve. And that's the thing that we all lose sight of, is why are we here? What is our purpose in life, and where do we want to be, and where are we heading? And if you spend more time reflecting on that, you can then implement that into your life and have a much more productive and much more happier life. Our time is limited, and as well, it's difficult because again, I look back at when we were a child, the days seemed longer. Time used to go so slow. The summer holidays were so long. Whereas as you get older, and the older you get, the days just go so much quicker. But it's hard to explain that to somebody who's a teenager, for example, or who's a child, because for them, their perception of the way of time is very different to how we see time. And we all know this, that as we slip older and older, the days just keep going, and our time is short here, and we have to make the most of our time here and make sure it's used most effectively.
All this is very, very good what I'm hearing today. I'm actually having a very good listen to you, Mudasser, and I'm writing things down. And I think definitely after Ramadan, I'd love to invite you here to Leicester, and you would do an excellent job in mentoring and coaching a lot of our youngsters in the community.
Inshallah, it's the skills I've used. I've again looked at my, especially the coaching skills. I've studied at executive level, so meeting business leaders and meeting people outside my actual profession really sort of inspired me. And there's two things that came from this. One was I was looking at my own community and Muslim community and thinking, what are the issues facing this community and how can we make things better? And one of the things that really sort of highlighted straight away to me was the probably the lack of leadership or good leadership within our communities. Because what I realized, especially even in business settings,
okay, where are you looking for the leadership to be? In the civil service, in our government, in our councils? Because I see in Oldham you have an MP.
So I'm talking about leadership within the Islamic community, not leadership as a whole for the country, etc. I'm talking about leadership within the actual, we have to accept that our communities are very disjointed. There is a lack of unity within our communities. And, the politics that surround our communities, we need to sort of improve leadership across the board. So that includes the imams at our mosque. That includes perhaps, like you mentioned, the councillors and the community leaders within our, within our community.
So what the question to you is like, we just going to remind everybody that today we're listening to Zed on the Rise and Shine show. We have a wonderful guest called Mudasser Hussain on Ramadan Radio 87.7 FM. And if any of you would like to call in 0116 482 2086, or you can WhatsApp us on 077 488 Some wonderful Nasiya means advice for all of us here from young brother Mudasser Hussain from Oldham, who is a dentist, and he's also involved in coaching and mentoring. Now, first question for you: when do you have time? We talked about time just now. When do you have time to do all these things? And do you get paid for doing this?
For coaching or
both? Coaching, mentoring. Well, dentist is your profession. Of course, you get paid for that. But when do you make time to do the rest?
Well, here's the thing. That's the excuse we all use. We don't have time to do this. We've got families. We've got all this kind of thing. And I think it's about actually making time for yourself and making time. Now, for me, I live in a very, very busy household. I've got 3 very, very young children under 4. So it's a very, very, and helping out and being a dad as well as working as a dentist as well, working as a coach, it can be very, very difficult. But it's about how much do you want that? How much do you want to? And once you get to that realization that my time is less here, I want to make the most out of my life. I want to leave a legacy behind for my children. Once you start thinking about these kind of things, then you realize that every day counts, every second counts, every minute counts.
Well, Mudasser has just resonated a very good point here, which we remind you of every day. We remind you of that. The difference you make to another is the rent you pay for your room in heaven.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he has resonated. And mashallah, it's so wonderful to meet an aspiring young person who is on track?
Inshallah, inshallah. And yeah, I think it's very, very important to actually, the thing is, we spend a lot of our time watching others and hoping and copying other people, and you've got to understand that why is it that there's the small percentage of people that achieve more things than you do, and the reason is because I feel that they want it more than you, and you have to accept that there is an element of, for all of us, of laziness, and an element of kind of I'll do it tomorrow, and procrastination, and this is what really stops you, and this is why the years and months pass without you getting closer to your goals. And I think for me, I've been on this journey and realized that I needed to make time. And I sort of mentioned this a little bit earlier about the importance of a morning routine. So for me, it's important to, and it aligns with obviously our Islamic faith as well, in terms of waking up early. So waking up for Fajr is the key. That's the first battle you've won. You know what I mean? If you can wake up for Fajr namaz and go to a mosque, you've won. You've won that first battle with Shaitan. We know that, don't we?
Of course we do. Yeah, and every day. So, we have a call for you, Mudasser. We'll take this call.
Yep.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you this morning, brother?
Alhamdulillah, very good. Especially listening to you guys.
Well,
amazing. Actually.
Mudasser is an inspiring young person, isn't he?
Bro, I've been listening to him, and alhamdulillah, he's very inspiring, and I wish we had more like him, especially in my days.
I think we should persuade him to emigrate to Leicester from Oldham.
Definitely. Alhamdulillah, a very good talk today. I myself just want to say that, I'm in my 35-ish, and, in school I didn't really do good. And, at this age, I feel a bit upset that I didn't become something. But after listening to brother, it has inspired me, that it's never too late and I can still do something. And the guidance, I really like, go after, in his busy schedule, going out there to the youngsters, because I feel like a lot of young people, they still don't know what they want to do. Even like myself, I'm 35 and I still don't know what I want to do in life. So, it's never too late, and I feel like it's very important for all of us to sit down with young people and ask them and guide them to the right way, wherever they want to do in life, and show them.
Brother, I'm going to give you a little bit of nasiyah from me. I'm older than you and older than Mudasser, and I always say, when I grow up, I want to do this and I want to do that. So we live our lives every day that we will meet good people, inshallah, and our journey of life becomes better for it. Every day we need that inspiration, don't we? A child has 20 inspirational moments in a day, every day. A child, 3-4-year-old or 1-year-old, 2-year-old. But we don't have that. When we're adults, we are lucky if we have 2 inspiration moments in a day.
Yeah.
So we draw strength from each other. That's why we say together we have a journey of life. So, brother, you're so true in what you're saying, and there are thousands of kids out there that need our support, they need our mentoring, and that's what our deen is all about, isn't it?
Definitely, 100%. But I wish you all the best, and Jazakallah for taking my call, and I hope you remember me in your du'as, inshallah.
Thank you for calling, brother. We love you for the sake of Allah, and we wish you a really good last 10 days, and happy Eid to you and your family. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah. See, brother Mudassar, if we are in this journey of life and we're on that train and we make a difference to one person, and that person, his family, they make du'as for us, then we've achieved an objective and a goal, haven't we?
Exactly. And this is my sole purpose of coaching. When I look at this, I think helping and serving others is the most effective thing you can do for another human being. And this is what I'm trying to do is inspire more and more people. And I think one advice I'd give that brother is, don't let the past define you. You know, it may be that during school years, maybe during academic years, maybe things weren't, that there may have been other reasons why you perhaps didn't perform at those levels that you expected to. But in reality, you're 35. You're not old. You know what I mean? We kind of class ourselves older before we already are. And you know, you can write your next chapter. You're in control of writing your next chapter. So don't keep flicking back on the chapters that have gone. Because they've gone, you know what I mean? The important thing is to learn from. I can be different tomorrow if I wanted to, and you make that choice every single day, and that's what coaching really does as well. It's kind of inspires you to really think that I can change myself tomorrow if I wanted to. There's nothing at all to prevent you from doing that.
So one important thing, what he mentioned, Brother Mudasser, was he said that even when he was at school, he did not know what he wants to do, and that is his mindset today at the age of 35. So that is why it's so very important that we have many people like Mudassar who are coaching, who are mentoring, and do it purely because they want your journey of life to be better. So many of you have children who are at school. Sometimes the parents are not able to guide and support. Everyone has a role to play. And a person like Mudassar comes along and he gives a little talk on coaching and mentoring to a assembly hall in a school. That would make a huge difference, Mudassar, to many of the kids listening in there.
Yeah, inshallah, that's the key as well. It's all about explaining to everyone that not to keep a tunnel vision in a way, and keep an open mind in terms of where you can go and what you want to do. What I would say is it's very difficult. I feel it's very difficult, even like I look back myself, being at the age of 18 and making choices and decisions. It's a dilemma all our, especially parents, you know, face even now, because, you know, we as parents want to make, what I try to explain to the children is your parents always want the best for you. They have no other purpose. They love you more than anyone else in the world. They want you to succeed in life. They actually want you to do better than you want to do. They want you to do better than they've done, and that's what I want for my own children as well. At the end of the day, you want to maximize the potential, and we all have potential. It's just difficult to see that potential, and that's what I tell the youngsters as well. Is that it's almost like, oh, I want to do this. My parents want me to do this. What shall I do? Kind of thing, and really, it's about sort of working together and a little bit of compromise. And parents these days can be quite stubborn, but sometimes it's for the right reasons. Other times it's not. But it's important to communication, I feel, is, especially in this day and age, we have to form more closer, more meaningful relationships where we can openly talk about everything. And there should be no sense of, like, you know, shame in talking about difficult issues. And more challenges our children are facing today, and more difficulties. The things we faced when we went to school is nowhere near on the level that these guys are facing right now, and the distractions that they have. And this is why I think it's important that we as a family unit come together and be able to work together so that we can then inspire our future generation. And this is the danger that we're now facing as a community, that we're going to start to blend in with everyone else in a way. And the thing that makes us unique is our faith and our belief, and we need to hold on to that rope of Iman and really stick to that.
So faith is great. All of you listening in right now, you have seen a lot of goodness here from Brother Mudassar Hussain. And if we come together, this week, our theme is community partnerships. And he has just exemplified where we all want to be, is that we start our journey of community partnership at home. that partnership between the family with the mother, father, and the children is so crucial, isn't it? And not just say that the school will fix everything or the madrasa will fix everything. So once we get that right, we extend to other members of the community and build those partnerships with the 50 other diversities or 70 diversities. How many diversities you have there, Mudassar, in Oldham?
Yeah, we've got multiple different background generation diversities in Oldham. From the Islamic perspective, I think there's significant Bengali and Pakistani communities, which are I would say the main Muslim communities in Oldham. But obviously, it's becoming more and more diversifying. Oldham is a little bit cheaper to live in compared to some of the other areas in Manchester. So there's been a big influx of people moving into the area. So I'm sure, I myself growing up, I can definitely see the dynamics changing in terms of the socioeconomic groups and the type of people, that I see, and Oldham's population is definitely increasing.
Now, what area of coaching do you specialize in, Mudassar? Do you tend to have a target market or an area that you focus on more than another? And why is that?
So I feel like the beauty of coaching is that it's really a philosophy. It's really and the thing is, a lot of people actually don't really understand what coaching is or understand how it can help them. And they have sort of preconceived ideas about coaching. But my area of expertise is actually business and executive coaching. So these are coaching, whether it might be small business owners, whether that might be managers or people in executive positions. Because what I realized from this is, which I mentioned earlier, was that it's the leaders who then impact down below. And the thing with our communities, we focus on the people and criticizing the people, but in reality we've created a culture, and the culture actually comes from the top, because the community look at the community leaders and see what they're doing to then and then implement that culture at home, or that culture in their communities. And this is why when I met business leaders and people from outside, they think very, very differently in terms of strategically, in terms of thinking outside the box, in terms of how to improve their business, how to drive things forward. The single most effective thing they say for business to be successful is to empower and engage your employees. And it's the same principle we can apply to our communities. The more we engage our community, the more we engage people and empower people, the more successful our communities will become. And that's what I want, because I think for a long time we kind of, we've stagnated as Muslim communities, and we've got to ask ourselves questions as to why our children, for example, nationally are performing less in education. Why are we getting less results? Why is it that we're not producing the top level people? And in terms of career wise, in terms of we as Muslims need to, we almost bring our own people down, and that's what I sort of dislike, and I want to sort of discourage everyone, because everyone actually has a gift and everyone has certain qualities, but we as communities, we very quickly sort of judge or dismiss. And if we see somebody being successful, we almost see we have that almost jealousy within us, and we don't want them to be successful. Whereas for me, it's the opposite. If I coach people, I want them to succeed at life. I want the best for them, and I think that's what I want for our communities as well. Because I don't like these stats that are quite they look unfavorable, but. And these are things that we need to focus on. How can we improve things for everyone? How can we improve things from, alhamdulillah, we are blessed to live in a country that allows us to practice our religion freely, that allows us these freedoms that we'd probably not get anywhere else in the world. We live in we criticize, this country, but it actually gives us so much. It's probably one of the most tolerant countries in the whole world. And it's one of the countries that allows us to practice our religion freely, allows us and gives us opportunities. And this is why I'm saying that we focus on the negative aspects, but in reality, we should really focus on us and focus on how we can improve our local communities and empower the leaders and how we can make a difference, because that's where you can make a difference, and I'm not disrespecting, it's great. You can see people going out and protesting and doing things about, national conflicts and things like that. But in reality, we all know that that's going to make very, very little difference. You're going to make more of a difference if you're going to go out and serve your community. And that's where I think it should start. You should start with yourself, improving yourself, and then improving your communities. Once you've got communities, you've got bigger and bigger numbers, and you've got bigger engaged communities who can then help solve problems of the world by creating leaders from those communities who can go out there, become MPs, talk at big conventions and make differences worldwide, and maybe impact and influence the government and lobby things. But this is where I think where we could really improve as a community.
So this goes across the board, and every person that you make a difference to, that is your happiness, isn't it?
Exactly. Because, even today, it made me so happy with that caller calling in and saying what he said. And I'm hoping there's going to be, inshallah, a lot more people who will listen to me and sort of inspire them and think, you know what? I can do so much more. I have so much more to give. Why am I not giving that? What is it that's preventing me? And what I realized as well is we kind of, one of my coaches who coaches me as well, because I think it's important for everyone to have a coach. The main thing, he always refers to the Nike slogan, "Just do it," and that's the thing, because we spend a lot of time thinking, shall we do that? Shall we not do that? And we end up not doing it. Do it. Just go out there, and even if it's a small thing, even if it's just, for example, praying one prayer in the mosque, you know what I mean? You've moved one step closer towards that goal of praying 5 times or praying more. Whatever your goals might be, you've just got to, not think too much and just go out and do it. And it's amazing that all these thoughts and all these things that consume us stop us from, doing things and moving forward. And I think we spend too much time on our phones and wasting time, and I think we've got to remember time is precious, and like you said, what is going to be our legacy? We want to be on this earth. We've only got a very short period on this earth. We want to be the person that people talk about, for years. You know what I mean? We want people who are going to talk about the impact you made on that community, the impact you made on how you made people feel. And again, this is what business leaders encourage. It's all about how you make people feel rather than anything else. Even nowadays, employees, everything. If you've got employees, how well do you treat them? How, do you pay them on time? Do you, if you make them feel good and feel looked after, they're going to work harder for you. They're going to be loyal to you. You're going to, eventually you'll see the increase in productivity. You'll see the increase in revenue. You'll see the benefits of just treating people nicely. And these are simple things, but we forget, because we focus on profits and we focus on revenue and we focus on, and we forget that, if you've got, people who are working for you who are really, really good, it's important that you show that you value them as well. And you show that you can progress them and progress their careers, and that's how you're going to get the best out of them as well.
Well, I'm going to remind you all that the radio mantra here is educate, inspire, serve, and unite. So that about encapsulates everything that myself and Mudasser have been sharing with each other, and to share with you, all of you, that we have to do that. Now, I'm going to take Mudasser to another journey right now. If you've ever heard of the diversity pipeline.
I haven't actually.
Okay. Now, diversity pipeline is where we come at the radio and we say, right, we must do something. We must do something positive to unite our communities. And in our diversity, Leicester, we have 70 languages. 70 languages is literally A to Z of every single country of people are living here in the city, right? In fact, if you do your stats, if you check, you'll find out that the word ethnic minority is now ethnic majority. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So if we, all different communities, organizations, if we don't come together, then we will not be able to progressively go forward. We will continue to live in those bubbles, which will then define us and create that inert mindset within us. And you create that, you fuel the us and them generation. And your children are 4 years old now. You don't want them to grow in that environment, do you? Right?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I think it's really, really important. And again, this is something we need to have honest discussions about. Why is it that even in my community, why is it that Pakistanis and Bengalis don't integrate with each other? Don't sort of, they lead very separate communities and very separate kind of ways of living, and I'm sure I know there's a large, obviously, Gujarati community as well as Pakistan, and like you mentioned, a diverse group in Leicester, and I think we need to question these things, and we need to sort of almost like
we have to question, we have to challenge as well, right?
Exactly, and we need to invite each other to explore each other's cultures and sort of realize that. Look at the similarities and look at the things that brings us together rather than the things that divide us. And I think that's how we're going to get stronger. If we took that mission of working together and collaboratively coaching, inspiring, motivating, and learning from each other, and seeing how we can sort of best serve the Muslim community in our areas.
So what one young lady, very articulate young lady, very intelligent, she came and told us that in every city in the UK, we all live in bubbles. So we create that us and them scenario, and we then are creating our own mindset that we only feel safe here. So when you're buying a house, you go in a particular area where people from your country or your relatives or your community are living, and you don't cross over. And it is quite frightening that in 2022, we're upon a digital revolution happening across the world, and we are still thinking like that. Like the young man who told me he went to buy a house in slightly outside of the city of Leicester, and he went, from the Indian faith community, and he went next door to meet the neighbors there. And he said, are you okay if I buy this house? It'd be okay with you? And the English woman told him, why would you want to buy a house here? 98% of the people living here are white. So in 2022, we still have that kind of a thought pattern. Now, that is going outside of the city. But our challenges lie within the city with each other, Mudassar.
Exactly. The thing is, we run from the things that we sort of dislike or we hate about our communities, and we get disillusioned. And this is why I'm saying to everyone that what we need to encourage is inclusivity. For me, this is something that I was having a conversation with someone about how I feel like things could improve, and I said, how do you measure a successful masjid, or how do you measure a successful community? And one brother said to me, it's the how much collections we get on a Friday. And I looked at him,
absolutely ridiculous,
in shock. I was like, what?
I'm in shock.
I was like, what? So that's how you measure your success. And this is what I'm saying, that even mosques and these things, they've become commercial businesses. And what that's ended up is disillusioned community members and people not feeling looked after, not feeling included.
I would go on to say that all the mosques, they do a fantastic job. Now, when the model of a mosque from the Prophet ﷺ time was a community hub. But again, I remind everybody that we simply don't have the facilities. Most of these mosques started in a terraced house, and then they bought the one next door and the one next door, and they expanded. So they don't have that facility where they were located in a sports field where they could encourage sports and they could be absolutely creating that community hub. So,
but this is where I say that my measure of how successful your mosque is almost like how you measure social media. How much engagement are you getting from your communities? Are you getting an increase in people turning up for the prayers? Are you getting more people turning up for your Jummah Salah? Are you getting more and more people involved in community projects? That's what success really is as a masjid. If you're growing and you're doing that, then that's for me is an indicator that you're a successful
in our
masjid.
city, there is a lot of work that is going on with the interfaith groups. There's a lot of work they're doing, but what we are concerned about is many social disorder issues, and our children, like you mentioned earlier on, the Muslim boys especially, are not faring as well as other communities, or the girls in our community. They're having fantastic results in their exams and going on to university and so forth. So we have a lot of talent. We just have to unleash that talent to come on the table and work together as a team with all the communities. And when we say, if your kid does not make it in education, it's not the end of the world. If he's got the correct guidance, he can make it in a profession, right? There are many, many professions that he can be directed to, because that is his skill set. Every one of us has got a skill set, Mudassar.
I think we all, but what I focus on is potential, and that's what coaching as well focuses on. Is we all have a potential. So I'm not saying everyone can be a doctor or a dentist or achieve those perceived things that are high in terms of people think, oh, you're highly successful because you've made it. And I understand that not everyone has that potential, not everyone has the opportunities as well. But what I would say is that you have much more potential than you think.
Now, Mudasser, I want to ask you a question. Is where did your journey begin to become a participant in the community, to be a coach and a mentor?
So I think for me, my actual journey began because I went through a little bit of a difficult period during COVID, where I wasn't paid correctly by employers, and for a lot of dentists, there was the situation because the government had recommended something, but it wasn't legally enforceable. So it was kind of hoping and praying that my employers would pay me correctly, and they didn't. So I went through a bit of difficulties and financial struggles during that period, and I think it made me really reevaluate my life and really take a step back from everything that was going on, and sort of think and for me, I was just talking to one of my friends who is hugely successful and owns multiple businesses, and he was just I was just talking to him. He goes, "Oh, I've got a meet." I was like, "All right, with who?" And he said, "My coach." I was like, "What do you mean, your coach?" He goes, "I use a coach." Do you not know what a coach is? I was like. And I thought in my head, does that mean like football or some kind of sports coach or what And then he sort of explained to me that he uses a coach to make decisions for his business. So a coach is somebody who basically make sure that you make better decisions for your business in terms of whether that might be, you might be just starting out and thinking, where do I invest my money in, my capital in, or it may be that you're struggling in a certain area of your business and you need some targeted help in that area. So I think from listening to him and seeing the difference and realizing why he's so successful, I then went on this journey of getting an accreditation in executive coaching. And for me, it more and more sort of opened up my eyes because I want to also serve my dental community because there isn't a coaching culture within our profession, or it's not really that well known or heard of. But for me, the way they thought, the way they think, how they strategically make decisions, how they succeed in business, I feel, I fell in love with the whole idea of coaching, and I fell in love with the fact that you can sort of, turn businesses around, turn people around, transform your life or transform your business, and learning how people do that. For me, that's where I thought that's what I want to do. and that element of reward, you know, when people say, you know, I had that coaching session with you, this is what I then did, and then a few months or a few weeks later they're messaging you, say, you know, it worked, or it has had a profound effect on me, and you think, wow, you know, that person, and this is what I love about coaching, that person will remember you for the rest of their life. And that's something that I feel like you don't really get in dentistry. You know, in dentistry, a lot of the time they perhaps don't even look at the work that you've done, and again, it's important to realize that it's all about how you can make them feel. Because if they turn around their life after having your coaching sessions or made big changes, they will always remember you, always. And they'll remember you in your du'as as well. And this is what we want. We want du'as from as many people as we can. And that's why for me, it connected, the dots sort of connected of coaching and how it can help and serve people and how it can help people, but also that reward element. You know, we all want to feel like we're making a difference to this world, or we're making a difference to the people we come across, or we're inspiring. And that's what that's what really sort of, you know, made me really passionate about coaching.
Well, I'm going to share with you a little story that happened to me. And a parent, mother and father, they called me. I picked the phone up. And they said, the brother says, my wife is praying, I've just finished praying, and we're both praying for you. And I'm like saying, yes, Jazakallah khair for that. And he said, you know, you have helped my kids like no one else has ever done. Even myself, I could not do for them what you did for them. And
MashaAllah,
anytime that you need me, I'll be there for you. And that I was shedding tears, you know, the kind of tear that no amount of money could replace. So this is what I'm saying, that when you make a difference to another, what you will get, you don't need a thank you for that. You don't need money for that. What you get is the du'as from the parents or from their family or from their friends or even from them. And it's those du'as that will bring you the happiness in your life.
Definitely, 100%.
So I resonate with everything what you are saying, and it's so everybody listening in right now that every one of us is capable, every one of us is able to make a difference to another. So if we work together on it, I'm telling you guys, you and I will all be smiling together.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I also encourage is and our Deen encourages is character. And you know, for me, I was one of those until about 6 months ago. I wasn't even on social media. I had no social media. I didn't like the whole idea of it. And it's interesting how I went on social media and connected with people who I hadn't spoken to for over 10, 11 years. And they saw me and connected with me. And they, you know, the things they were saying about me, I still remember you. You were one of the nicest people. You were so polite. You had such good manners. You know, we still remember you at our clinic. And you think, wow, 10 years, 11 years, I didn't think anything of it. And this is what I'm saying to you, that sometimes you don't know what impact you've had on others, because not everyone says what impact you've had on them. And to realize 10, 11 years later, for people like, you know, these are nurses and people who I've worked with, you know, as, you know, when I was a dental student, for them to come and say that, you know, it really, really uplifts you. You think, wow, I can't believe I managed to make that difference in such a short period of time. And this is what I encourage everyone. Remember that, you know, what's happening is recorded, and remember what's your footprint on this earth. What is your character? What will you be remembered by? You know, and good manners, politeness. These are just basic kind of, I feel like a basic, but these are things that are sort of lost in our community and lost across the board. I think we've lost that sense of being polite and manners and etiquette and you know, and I just feel like sometimes you don't have to be you know, loud and bubbly to get known. You know, sometimes it's the things that you don't do. It might be just a smile. It might be your body language that you can sometimes impact people and they remember you for years later. And I think that's so profound, that how you can make such a difference to people's lives without even knowing that you've made that difference. And even today, you know, inshallah, I've touched so many lives, so many listeners, hopefully will think about their life and think about their journey and think, how can I improve things? How can I change things? It might make them do something they never thought before. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to inspire people and get them to really think that they can achieve so much more if they just believed in themselves and focused on developing their own character.
Of course, we in Leicester, Mudasser, we are going to be probably the first ethnic majority in UK, and we're inspiring to be the best. We already won the league in 2015 when nobody believed we could do it, right? And that is history. We'll never forget that. The world will never forget that. When I'm traveling abroad in third world countries, as soon as I say I'm from Leicester, everybody knows, because Africa is football mad, right?
Yeah.
And they know Leicester City, and they start telling me all the players who were playing in the 2015. These are like 10, 12-year-old kids, right? Yeah. Other things they will not pay attention to. So if we build these diversity pipeline and we create very good organizations to all work together, it's a model that can be taken to Oldham, and then they could also follow. So we aspire to compete with each other in doing good, just like we have to do that in our deen, don't we?
Absolutely.
And doing good. So coming together, coming out of our bubbles and joining with other communities is the way forward. Now, one question I'm going to ask you before we close for the day, this program ends at 10, is who is your inspiration apart from the gentleman you mentioned who gave us the do it quote?
I'm obviously, we were just talking about football, so I'm a Manchester United fan. So in terms of my coaching, one of my inspirations, or my main inspiration, is actually Sir Alex Ferguson. And the reason why I say this is, if you look at his success and how he made very average players play at top level, I think for me, it's the profound impact that one individual can have in terms of performance. So he's, in terms of my inspiration, in terms of how successful he's been, how he literally built a club, and he is Mr. Manchester United, and his sort of legacy is still continuing to now. And I think that he is my inspiration, and the amazing things he's achieved during his career. And if you look back at his history, and if you even watch, for example, he made a Amazon Prime sort of documentary about his life, and if you look at where he started and where he ended up and how he's remembered now, it's amazing. We all start somewhere. We don't choose our families. We don't choose where we come from, but we all can and greater things. And I think, looking at people like that and almost copying and seeing what characteristics they had and how they managed to do the best in life. And for me, that's the key: copying successful people and looking at inspiring people and realizing that your past doesn't define you, and it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what, whether you might have come, even myself, we all come from humble beginnings, but we all started somewhere. That doesn't necessarily mean you can't be successful financially. You can't be successful, with your faith. It doesn't mean, success is something that we should all inspire to be.
That is so true. Every one of us has somebody there that will inspire us in our journey of life. So, Mudasser, we will most certainly touch base again. We have a lot of things that we can develop, and certainly you can also come to Leicester and do a little talk in a school sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Inshallah, I would definitely like to get more involved with my own community, and talk to people, because I think the more I've done this, the more I realize I feel a sense of fulfilling my purpose in life, doing this,
what we say
coming
here
on the show as well.
What we say here on the radio is we start local, then we go national, and then we go global, right?
Inshallah.
And that's where we would like to help your journey as well, as much as we can, and be be an asset to each other. In the business world, we don't like liabilities. They're a problem. We like assets. So in the community, we also have to develop our assets. They are waiting there. They're waiting for us to unleash them. So we're going to work very hard to reach out to all the assets in our community so we can all work together and make a difference. Are you up for that, Mubasher?
100%, definitely. I'm up. This is what I'm saying. Never say no to any opportunity. You don't know what.
Just a quick message here, right? We're going to finish the program now, Mudasser.
Yeah.
So say salams.
Jazakallah khair for having me. I really, really appreciate you inviting me on this program. I've really enjoyed our chat today. It's really kind of, inshallah, it's inspired you as well as our listeners. Inshallah, it's the start of me hopefully interacting with the Leicester community, and the start of me sort of helping you guys and us collaborating together and sort of serving each other.
Thank you very much for